Yo, welcome everyone back into Crypto's News. It's me here doing another car video covering with you guys what is going on. And yeah, it's to the point where I have to do videos every day because every day is wild. And I remember when bear markets used to be boring, as I said on Twitter, but it's just not the case anymore. Although I think it's arguable as to whether we're in a bear market, right? You're seeing Bitcoin up 15% today. You have Ethereum up 9.4% today. It's been a wild move. So some of this has been an unfolding of the events that have been playing out over the last few days. So namely the Silicon Valley Bank thing. Then we got an announcement yesterday after I uploaded my video or finished recording my video that Signature Bank went down, another bank that serviced crypto customers. Signature Bank was shut down by regulators, and you have this gentleman named Barney Frank, and he was one of the congressmen who helped write up the Dodd-Frank Act for the banking regulators. And he has said that this is a targeted, it seems to be some sort of anti-crypto attack. And it does seem to be the case. Again, Operation Choke Point 2.0, target the banks that service cryptocurrency companies. And it's been a kind of scary situation, to be honest, because the less of these banks that exist, the less on-ramps and off-ramps may exist as well to help people move fiat in and out of cryptocurrency. So that could be something that could play a role in how you guys approach this. So not something to be taken super lightly. But these attacks, that's targeted or not, it does seem to be the case that most of it was related to fears of contagion, fears that more people would pull money out, the fact that, again, these banks bought bonds when interest rates were low. Interest rates have gone up, so the bonds that they bought are worth less, because why buy a bond from back then with a lower yielding interest rate? They might have been attractive at the time, when now there are newer bonds, newer fancy bonds, bonds that you can purchase that yield a lot more. So the price for those bonds that these banks have been holding went down a lot, and they've had to sell them at a loss in order to make depositors hold and so on. And this has led to banks continually just burning money and becoming insolvent. But yeah, so it's weird because you have this Barney Frank fella saying that this seems to be anti-crypto. By no objective way were they insolvent, but some of what we're looking at here just points to them having burned a lot of money and being just another culprit of contagion, in fact. So you have the Federal Reserve coming out and in joint statements with Treasury, so on, basically saying they're going to backstop all of this, make depositors whole. It looks like FDIC member banks are going to be paying some sort of fee, which will likely be passed on to you guys, to the customers, right? It is still a public bailout, in my opinion. Anything that's government sponsored is some sort of public bailout, and we're all going to be paying for it sooner or later. But anyway, depositors will likely be made whole here across these different banks. Are trying to stop any further contagion, it appears. But all of this is just going to show that they are not willing to let banks fail. This is not capitalism. This is something else. This is not free market. This is an economy run by the banksters for the banksters, a consolidation of power towards the bigger banks, and an obvious attack, it seems to be, to me, on crypto, since these are the major banks that are failing. Yeah, they also served tech companies, and that might be part of the reason. These tech companies are also more vulnerable to rate increases, just like you're seeing with cryptocurrencies. But what's going to happen next, right? Like, what is going to be the next saga in this story? USDC, by the way, stablecoin, went up over $1 today, so that did turn out to be maybe a good bet. So if you had sold your Ether and Bitcoin to try to buy some USDC when USDC was 91 cents, like we talked about yesterday, well, you might have lost out, actually, because unless your timing was absolutely impeccable. What happened when nobody thought would happen did happen. The big gain was supposed to be in holding USDC, right? Because why would Ether and Bitcoin pump, especially with so much uncertainty? But in fact, they did pump. So, like, again, Bitcoin up 15%. That was more than USDC could have nailed you. So, turbulent times, generally better to be a passive holder than anything else. And Tether's still looking quite strong. Although it's interesting because Tether does hold a lot of the backing for Tether stablecoin. Apparently in Treasury securities. We don't know if they might have problems. This was something that leonfu.com was pointing out on Twitter. This was something that might not just be relegated to the banks. This could affect companies like Tether as well that have been holding potentially some of these lower yielding treasuries and would put them seeming insolvent. Although when it comes to Tether, I think that Paulo and the others are better at Paolo Arduino of Tether are kind of better at managing public perception, from what I've seen, at managing to shore up funds and navigating difficult times. So I struggle, and maybe when I feel like I'm more confident in Tether, and I'm not confident in Tether, by the way, but like when you feel that confidence in Tether is exactly when it goes down. But anyway, as to whether it's going to go down today, tomorrow, it just looks like it's so, who would have thought Tether would be so strong through all of this? Just wild. So some of what helped fuel this bull run might have potentially or this catalyzation of prices higher might have been sparked by CZ, CEO of Binance. Doesn't look like he's as confident in Binance USD stablecoin, so announced that $1 billion were going to go into other coins instead of BUSD. So selling BUSD for Bitcoin, Ethereum, I can't remember the last one, but whatever. I think that's part of what started this huge rally that then got picked up. So CZ said in an announcement on Twitter that people could front run Binance before this selling of BUSD happened for $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum that increasingly are you could just find less of them on the exchanges, let's call it that. There's less and less availability of these. When you try to buy $1 billion like that in the market, you're going to pump things up. So people could have gone ahead and got into that trade beforehand if they still had USDC or they weren't involved in cryptos, and I guess come out pretty well. And this was all on chain. You could probably follow this. It would be interesting to wonder what would it be like if some of these bank deposits and withdrawals, these bank runs were on chain as well, because I wonder, would that make things worse or make things better? Maybe transparency would perhaps make it so these banks could be more solvent. People had more of an idea rather than just panic and try to withdraw all their money before everybody else. So transparency can be kind of a good thing. But anyway, because BUSD, this huge sell, I think it just signals a loss of confidence, even though it wasn't called that by CZ. It's something that I think broke some confidence in Coinbase. So Coinbase announced that they would stop the trading of BUSD. So expect that to be happening. They also enabled trading that they had disabled over this weekend for USDC, although they are not going to be doing auto conversions on Coinbase from USDC to dollars and so on. Like when you deposit dollars, it automatically becomes USDC. They have paused that, which I think is pretty good. Although Circle does seem that they're whole. They're going to be paying everything back on the dollar. There will be no losses, according to Jeremy Allaire and Circle. So USDC does seem like it will live to fight another day, but it has broken confidence in DAI stablecoin, something I've talked about, the fact that Maker had made DAI something that backs using collateral. USDC backs DAI. So now, you know, you don't really have DAI as an alternative to USDC anymore. It was supposed to be the decentralized alternative, the more stable alternative to something like DAI that is opaque in operations and centralized, to making something decentralized, backed by the power of a decentralized autonomous organization, the DAO of Maker, that would have maybe multiple collaterals. Although I think it was better when it was just backed by ETH, but that's just me, single collateral DAI. But anyway, I think that this has broken confidence in DAI quite a bit. Stables, something that people are, I think, increasingly scared of. So that potentially is also creating more of a flight back into the known names like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So really remarkable times when whether you're looking at the banking system, which I've been struggling to try to understand since like 2012. It's like the more you know, the less you know. That's really what it feels like. It truly is Dunning-Kruger effect. I remember I felt a lot more confident than when I knew back in 2017. But wild. Anyway, the Federal Reserve, Goldman Sachs likely to pause, if not reverse, rate hikes because of what's going on right now. I think that is also the case. 50 basis point rate hike pretty much off the table according to the bets. That was the most likely thing to have happened until this weekend, and now it looks like it's not going to be happening. If they even do 25 basis points, I think that would be interesting. Things are already breaking. There are already calls, you know, I think politically against continuing to rate hike. So Fed in a tough place right now. Inflation will win, and therefore limited assets like cryptocurrencies will win. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Anyway, I'll catch you guys the next time. Let me know what I missed talking about today or any finer points you felt like discussing down below in the comments. Take care, much love, and stay cryptic. Peace.